Hi Year 9, Mr. Tapley here to take you through your next lesson of Year 9 Humanities. This lesson we are looking at the different levels of government in Australia. So looking at the local, state and national government of Australia. And we're trying to explain the purpose of Australia having different levels of government. So why should we have state governments and local governments? Can't the national government do everything itself? No, and we'll find out why. And we're looking at outlining the specific roles and responsibilities of each government. So does the national military answer to the Monash Council? Probably not. Does education, police, is that all organised by the national government or is that the state government? That's what we're looking at this lesson. So, in Australia, powers and responsibilities to create laws are divided into 3 levels of government. So you have your local level of government, which is like a Monash Council. You have your state government, so Victoria, and then you have the federal or the national government of Australia. I've written down federal there. I always call it national, but in the textbook they do call it the federal government. So I wanted you to understand that when they write federal, they mean national, so they mean Australia. Why is that the case? Why bother having so many silly levels of government? Well, consider the issues with having one individual or one group with 100% total unrestricted power. If that person is a bad person, if that individual or that group is corrupt, they're stealing things, they're hurting people, they're doing all these horrible things, no one's going to be able to stop them because they've got all the power. So it's like, I can't stop them from doing this, I can't stop them from making laws because they're the only person to make laws. So we have different levels of government to separate power. There's a very famous quote called, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you have too much power, you're going to misuse it. So that's why we have different levels of government. The other reasons why we have different levels of government is if you give one person 100% of the jobs, that's going to make their life pretty miserable. It's going to lead to people getting less rapid help and less rapid responses. So if the government has to fix all the problems in the world, they're not going to be able to do that quickly, and they're not going to be able to do that properly. It's why we have a principal of the school, but we have 3 vice principals, and then we have middle school leader, and then we have the house leaders. So you get more people working on it to, 1, make the jobs get done quicker, and 2, get the jobs to be done better. Final reason is that if one person is put into power, it's possible they won't have all the experience and expertise in every region. So I am not a humanities, English, science, maths, food studies, art teacher. I only teach to something that I have experience doing and expertise doing, some expertise. Should a Melbourne City resident, a Melbourne CBD resident who's sitting down there in Richmond with his coffee and etc., should that guy be making laws for fishermen in South Australia? Probably not. He's probably never fished a day in his life. So you want people who are local to be dealing with those local problems. So, the local government, looking at our first level of government in Australia, is responsible for issues that need to be adapted to the specific needs of communities. So for example, a country council or local government is dealing with different problems, different issues than a city one. So you want a local government to deal with things that they know what they're doing, they know the people, they know the problems, so they can fix it better. The state government has power over larger issues like education that may differ from state to state. So for example, if you're in Victoria, you're studying VCE. If you're in WA, Western Australia, you're studying WACE. Different issues in those different states, but they're not dealing with like huge national issues like the military. Because if every state in Australia had their own military and we decided we're going to war, but the other states didn't, that'd be a problem. So they're dealing with bigger issues than the local government, but not national, global issues. All that stuff gets sorted by the federal government, the national government. They cover issues that need to be addressed by all the states at the same time. So it's national level stuff like military, international trade. Again, if China is trading with us, let's say we're giving them wool, they're giving us oil, something like that. We don't want to have 6 different rules for 6 different state governments. You know, that'd just be, what was the point of federation if we're just going to keep acting as 6 individuals? That's what the federal government is for, the one team of Australia. The different powers and responsibilities of the local, state, and federal government. We didn't pick them out of a hat. We didn't pick them at random. They were outlined in the Australian Constitution. So when we federated, when we made Australia a country, we made this little rule book of how the country was going to run. We said, okay, federal government, they're going to do these things. State government, they're going to do these things. And the state government actually really created the local government, because they looked at the list of things they had to do and they were like, "Ooh, we need someone else to help us with this." So the local government isn't actually in the Constitution. It was created by the state government because of the Constitution. And I encourage you to watch that quick 2-minute video there for more information about those 3 levels of government. It's only 2 minutes and it explains it better than I can probably. So what are we doing this lesson? 3 questions, 3 levels of government. I thought 3 questions works nicely. 3 questions. You'll need to read the Levels of Government PDF file, which is available in Google Classroom resources. I'll also put it into Compass hopefully by the end of this lesson, but Google Classroom really is where you should be going to find all this information. So you're looking for that Levels of Government file in Google Classroom. Read through that file. I'll show you what it looks like, I suppose. So it looks like this. You can see it's a couple pages of information about the 3 levels. So this is the federal government, the national government, and those are the sort of things they deal with. So they deal with quarantine, very appropriate for coronavirus, immigration, trade, etc., etc. And then my next slide, next page, looks at the state government. The state government deals with things like schools, hospitals, police. So if you get arrested, or when you get arrested, to some of the students in this class, when you get arrested, the police will have little badges. The van will say Victoria Police, because you're not being arrested by the Australian police, it's Vic Police. And then you've got the local council here. Again, if you go across the street in Glen Waverley to the library, it doesn't say Library of Australia, it's the blank library, and it's part of the Monash Council. The Monash Council deal with parking tickets. Mr. Tapley's had a few parking tickets from the Monash Council. Damn them. So you just need to read through those pages there, nice and easy, nice and quick, and those will help you answer these 3 questions. Question 1, you need to come up with 3 federal powers, 3 state powers, and 3 local powers and responsibilities of the governments. So basically 3 per level. So for state government, you could write education. For local government, you could write parking. So you want 3 of those. You don't need to explain them. You just need to identify them. So quite literally just the word. Question 2, this is where you're going into a bit more detail. Select 1 power and responsibility for each level of the government. So 1 each, 1 for federal, 1 for state, 1 for local. And in this question, I want you to justify, I want you to explain why this is the correct level of government to control this power. So let's say I went with the military for my Australian federal national government. Why does the military need to be sorted by the national government? Why can't Monash Council run the entire country's military? So 1 or 2 sentences explaining, justifying why that power responsibility should be organized by that level. Why isn't the Prime Minister the guy in charge of parking tickets in Monash Council? Probably got better things to do. And then finally, question 3. Again, not an essay length response, but I do want 2, 3, 4 sentences. This is a statement from an anonymous individual. I believe that local and state governments should be eliminated. Get rid of them. Hate them. The worst. And we should be giving full power to the federal government. So to the national government of Australia, let's give them all the power. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? And then justify your response. No wrong answer, as long as you do this last part. Justify. So you can agree, you can disagree, as long as you explain why I should believe you. So you've got 3 questions there, guys, going into your digital notebook in Google Classroom. If you have questions about the questions, please let me know. Otherwise, yeah, best of luck. Cheers. See ya.